Heading into the final weekend of Spanish F4, all eyes were on the championship battle. Yes, our victor had already been crowned in Thomas Stralvin at the previous round, but the battle for runner-up in the championship was still underway, with René Lammers, Jan Piriowski and Ian Eichmann all able to take that second place spot. During this first race, drivers were clearly desperate to bow out their championship on a high, with many drivers taking extra risks in this race to prove their racecraft and also gain positions in doing so. And during just the first race of the weekend, it really did seem like the gloves were off and it was anyone's race, with Matthias Riva maybe pushing the limit a little too hard as he took the scenic route into the gravel trap out of turn 13. However, it wasn't long until expect the unexpected became the motto for race 1, as due to problems in qualifying earlier on in the day, meaning that the qualifying session wasn't able to take place, that meant that the fastest laps during this race also determined the starting grid for race 2 on Sunday. So that means that it wasn't just the race on track, but also the race against the clock, as drivers outside of the top 10 were all scrambling into the pit lane and trying to fight for that fastest lap. On the road, it was Thomas Stralvin who took home the race victory, but the driver who finished last on the road also picked up pole position, with Renault Franco being in the prime position for tomorrow with fastest lap in the race and also pole position. As the sun peeked out of the clouds and beamed down onto a damp Barcelona circuit, we got ourselves prepared for the second race of this weekend and the penultimate race of our season finale. Although race 2 is the shorter of the three, it definitely wasn't short of any racing action. However, we had to get the race underway from what was a single file start under the safety car. But as soon as the green flag was waved, drivers were wasting no time at getting stuck into the heart of the action, as they were darting left and right trying to find open track and gain positions at the same time. And that means the battle up at the front end was starting to spice up as well, as championship winner Thomas Stralvin cruised his way past teammate of Matthias Riva. But this man here, the number 9 of René Lammers, was carving through the field like a knife through butter as he was fighting for his life and fighting for second in the championship. But it wasn't long until a safety car hit the track for the retirement of Filippo Fiorentino and Alexander Begonovic to add some chaos into the mix. And that's exactly what it did. With the pack being completely bunched up, drivers scrambled for positions where they could pick them up, as every point matters at this point in the season. With championship positions being undecided and the order changing lap by lap, drivers were really pushing the limits in their cars to try and get the most out of their machinery to benefit from the points that were on offer. And to make matters worse for the rest of the field, Thomas Stralvin wasn't backing down at all. Although he already wrapped up the championship, Stralvin was pushing for that record point total over the course of the season. But just as things were looking to cool down, remember these two drivers' names, Jan Piriowski and René Lammers. After a rare forced mistake of Lammers saw a lockup down into turn 10, we knew the tension was about to grow, and these two drivers weren't only battling for track position, but also for championship gain. And with many great moments and a few close calls, it was inevitable that the battle was going to bubble over, and unfortunately coming off worst was going to be René Lammers, which saw him take off the circuit and also retire for a non-point scoring finish. On the switch side, for the other Griffincourt driver of Thomas Stralvin, he was trying to pick off the Red Bull Junior driver of Nicolas Schaufler, as multiple attempts saw it go nowhere. With Schaufler's relentless determination, he was very set on holding on to this 4th position, but with a championship winner already breathing down your neck, it's not easy to do. But this man proves why he was adorned with the Red Bull Junior colours, managing to fend off the 99 to the line. Battles in the background saw Andrei Petrovic and his T-code machinery make his way past Jan Piriowski after that contact earlier on with Lammers clearly shook the number 23. With the clock ticking down and corners diminishing, it was only a matter of time until the Flying Dutchman of Renault Franco crossed the finish line to mark his maiden victory in the Spanish F4 season. It's better late than ever, and I'm sure a brilliant moment to round out his season. With a welcome to the top step of the podium and his head held high, this would be a great confidence boost for the driver heading into the final race later on. And the whole season's racing all came down to this 30 minutes plus 1 lap of pure adrenaline-filled racing to round out what has been a brilliant Spanish F4 season. Drivers were swarming early doors to try and pick up some early positions, especially the likes of Renault Franco with 2 non-point scoring finishes so far this weekend. But it wouldn't be long until we saw a safety car entered into the race after contact between Philip Carras and Noah Montero saw both of them bow out early in their final jest. It would be the Richard Milley Young Talent Academy shootout winner of Ian Eichmann who would take us away from the safety car restart, and what a restart that was, as he gained himself a nice advantage over the rest of the pack to set his sights forward for the rest of the race. But not everyone had such a calm safety car restart, as the number 55 of Juan Cota had 2 cars filling his rear view mirrors, and not long after, it was Jan Piriowski who made his way down the inside into turn 10. The race for second position was well and truly on. With newfound confidence after his race victory yesterday, Renault Franco promoted himself up into second and was looking to try and charge onto the back of the Belgian. But for Alfio Spina, things went from bad to worse after a late lunge on the inside saw René Lammers pick up the final step of the podium for now. The troubles weren't over just yet though for Alfio Spina, after a trusty move at turn 10 once again from Jan Piriowski saw himself promoted up another place. With speculations of a problem growing for Spina, the number 78 just seemed to tumble further and further down the order, with lap by lap passing and more cars gaining positions over him. And with a smoke screen set in the background, Emma Felbermeyer seemed to draw the short stick after a trip over the gravel trap saw her lose a chunk of time and a couple of positions in hand. Back up at the front end, all eyes were on one man and one man only, that being René Lammers, who was looking set to take the runner-up spot in the championship if things finished the way that they were. Alfio Spina continued to squirm across the track as he desperately defended his position. Juan Cota opted for the long way round, but was quickly shown the escape road as he ran out of room. With the pack now being backed up, this opened the door to a plethora of cars to get involved, and many drivers taking advantage, such as Nathan Tye, as he picked up a few places. With the race now edging towards the dying embers and gaps already being formed, it was looking pretty surefire that it was going to be René Lammers who would take the runner-up spot in the podium. Although he would be tied on points with Ian Eichmann, he would take the spot with more wins so far this season. The battle for the lower point scoring positions still raged on, as drivers were looking to pick up as many points possible to add to their total tally at the end of the season. And one of the first things you learn in motorsport is never be too comfortable, as Jan Piriowski was now here to play and René Lammers would start to feel the heat. Battles further down the order, being 3 cars or even 4 cars wide at some points, saw the battles continue on, but one driver's day who wasn't getting any easier was Alfio Spina. Inevitably, with daylight starting to fade and the front end drivers looking set, it was Nathan Tye who was getting his elbows out to put some racecraft on display in the final moments of the season, with racing being quickly neutralised by a safety car that was evident to take us to the end of the race. When you thought it was all said and done, we got news of a 5-second penalty for track limits for René Lammers that would have huge impacts on the championship, that would drop him from 2nd to 4th in the standings and promote Ian Eichmann as the runner-up.